Okay, now then, today we are very fortunate to have Dr. Jim Brown with us. Dr. Brown recently stepped down as the Dean of Science, Engineering, Health Sciences, and Human Performance at Ocean County College to teach full-time. He served as the Assistant Dean at New Jersey City University and former Assistant Commissioner of Health for New Jersey State Department of Health and Senior Services, directing the Public Health and Environmental Laboratories for the state of New Jersey. He was a past president of the New Jersey Public Health Association and chairman of the executive board. Dr. Brown recently finished his term on the Governing Council of the American Public Health Association. And in industry, Dr. Brown was the director of microbiology at Roche Medical Laboratories and directed the largest clinical laboratory in the world. He also was vice president for Celsus Laboratory Group, which is an international biotech firm specializing in rapid microbiology testing. Before I turn the microphone over to Jim, I would like to state that the products and services mentioned in this webinar together have provided a workable solution which Dr. Brown would like to share with you about addressing the problem of teaching lab sciences online. We all know that this is an ongoing issue that many colleges face from time to time. So the contents of this webinar should not be interpreted as an endorsement by Sloan C of any of the products and services that will be covered. Now then, we can begin, and I'll hand off the microphone to you, Jim. Jim, are you there? Can you hear us?
Is that better? Am I on?
Yes, now you are.
Okay. Oh boy, that gave me tachycardia there. This is my third webinar, so I am getting used to it, but I've got to get used to this microphone here. I'm doing this actually from home, so this is really a cool thing for me. I came up, probably like a lot of you, instead of coming from academia, as you can see from my background, I actually was a laboratorian. I was a lab rat, and I had worked in industry and in government. And one day, I happened to be in a biotech company that was bought out, and before I knew it, I was out of a job, and I was getting an award from New Jersey City University because I took on a number of interns. And I said to them, I said, boy, I'm kind of embarrassed. I just lost my job. And they said, come teach for us. So anyhow, midlife, I changed the direction, and I had the opportunity there. They found out I like computers, and I love doing PowerPoint and that sort of thing. And this was back in, I guess, 1998. And they said, we'd like you to try putting our first online course up for us if you'd be willing to. So I said I'd be willing to try it, and lo and behold, you know, hey, I was the first one there to put it up, and before you know it, everybody was asking you how to do it because you were the expert. The truth is, it was trial and error, and I really didn't know what I was doing, but, you know, a lot of us got in that way. So at New Jersey City University, we started putting up online courses and found out it was an excellent way for teaching students, especially. There were so many there who came from third world countries, and they were not very good with their written word, and online courses were a great way to get them there because you could teach them to do the spell check and the grammar check, and they were in the business. So I ended up going, my dad was dying of Alzheimer's, and I tried to move down so I could help my mom with this. I went to Ocean County College and started there as the Dean of Science, Engineering, Health Sciences, and Human Performance. And that included nursing. And the first thing right out of the box for us was putting nursing online. We got a $458,000 grant from Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to have a one-day-a-week nursing program. The students would come in 1 day a week. They'd go out to the hospitals and do their clinicals, and the rest of the time it was taught totally online. And it was a huge success. We got students who could never get to nursing before because, let's say, they're working 5 days a week. And what they could do, they would go back to their bosses and say, hey, can I get off 1 day a week to take this nursing program? It's going to be on a Wednesday. And they said, sure, you need to work Saturdays for us now. So anyhow, it started out that this opened up a whole new area for students could get into nursing, even if they were working full-time. The thing was, they had to realize that 1 day a week didn't mean that was it. That 1 day a week was face-to-face. The rest was totally online. And it's amazing that students will do what they have to do in order to get where they need to go. And it was a tremendous success. Well, the first thing we noticed was, well, it saved us from buying a whole, expanding our nursing building because we were totally out of building. And we were able to grow nursing by a third. But what we noticed right away, the prerequisite courses they needed to take to get into nursing. Yeah, they could come 1 day a week to our nursing program, but if they wanted to take anatomy and physiology, they had to come 3 days a week. And that immediately was our big problem. The other thing is that it was so popular that we were running, this was a brand new building in 2002. And sure enough, we were running out of space already. And so we started thinking, okay, well, how do we do this with our AMP labs? We started running them to 10 o'clock in the night. They were started at 8 in the morning. We had them on Saturdays. We were looking out to the high schools to run them at the high schools at night, convert their laboratories so they could be converted into an AMP lab. And the president of Ocean County College had gone to a seminar, Dr. John Larson, and I have to say I am very fortunate to have a president who is an absolute visionary. So he came back and said, hey Jim, what we'd like you to do is look into taking science and putting them online, the science courses, and particularly AMP, and we found this little company that was out in Colorado that actually has this sort of lab in a box. I'd like you to look into it and see what you think. And we were very adept at putting courses online for nursing and all the rest, but we hadn't done it in science before. And the other thing I'd have to say is when the science faculty found out about it, they were not thrilled. They, actually put out a little piece of paper they all signed, and all the reasons why they didn't think teaching science totally online was, the lab too, was a good idea. So we had a bit of a sales job ahead of us. So, well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself there. Let me go to the next slide. But you can see here, I mean, the science building really has run out of space, and it's the online courses that have come along and bought us more time. There are plans to put in an expansion, but the online courses, especially in the critical science courses like AMP, those that were especially associated with nursing, those were critical for us if we wanted to grow our nursing program. So we actually got together with, it was a cooperative effort. It just wasn't Ocean County College. We were very fortunate. We had SunGuard Higher Education, and they were the ones who supplied the people who, the instructional designers, who could actually teach the faculty what they needed to do. And the other thing I have to say is McGraw-Hill Higher Education. Just at this time, we let them know we were going ahead and we were going to be putting AMP online. And at the same time, they were looking to come up with some sort of a EPAC that they could use. So they based it largely on Ocean County College's curriculum, which was wonderful because our faculty were working with them. And I'd have to say, with my bias, if you can get an EPAC that is terrific, and all set to go, where they've really put a lot of effort into it, I really believe that's the wave of the future and the way to go. The trouble is, so many of the EPACs, you get a salesperson coming up to you and say, oh, we've got this great EPAC, and you look into it, and it's basically a bunch of PowerPoint slides and a few little tricks, but that's about it. So at that time, this was a big, serious effort. Well, the missing piece for us was what to do with the laboratories. When we found out about hands-on labs, they were called at-home science at the time. And I'd gone out and visited and looked at their operation out there, and I was very impressed with it. They had actually put things into a box, and it was one thing we didn't need to concentrate on because they had absolutely everything you needed to do to run that laboratory. So I was thrilled at this. So immediately we got a green light to go ahead and start putting our courses totally online in science. Okay, the big problem is teaching the faculty. How much do you need to teach the faculty? The idea originally was the instructional designers in our one-day-a-week nursing program. They came in and they took the content from the nursing faculty and put it online. And the trouble is, as you grow, you can't keep doing that. You need to teach the faculty to do the basics. So I have here teaching the faculty to fish. So the number of online courses grew absolutely logarithmically throughout the whole school. In fact, we started to attract a national audience that we didn't expect. We put things online, but we didn't realize that people from very far away would read this and then look to us, especially for the prerequisite courses for nursing. When we put anatomy and physiology online, totally online, people noticed. And we were getting a whole host of students coming in from Alaska. And it was, you know, hey, how did you guys find out about us? Well, it was our website. And and then of course word of mouth there, so we were getting a huge contingent from Alaska, but it really spread out nationally. The faculty members, they were taught the simple online techniques that they needed to do, how to add text, how to size and add images. And there's a wonderful program I'll talk about, SoftChalk. I really loved Dreamweaver for developing courses online. I just absolutely loved it. It did a marvelous job. Well, when I found out they had this SoftChalk, I couldn't believe how fast you could pick it up. In 2 hours, you could really teach one of your faculty members how to use this. The thing I love about it, it's highly interactive. You can put all these games in there, and students love that. And the whole idea was to engage the students with the lessons so it's interactive and not the mistakes we made with nursing first time through. It was really death by text. It was just text and text and text. We really didn't have that interactivity down pat. Okay, putting a course totally online, it depends if you're doing it yourself or if you have an LabPaq to begin with, but I kind of look at it as sort of a pregnancy. You know, it takes 9 months. And the model we used at the time, the faculty member would discuss it with the departmental dean at the time and decide, okay, do we want to put this course online? What will we need and all the rest? And by at least 6 months before, they have finished their training. They needed to get all the training done so they'd know how to go about putting up an online course. And then they needed to meet with their instructional designer to actually start compiling it, putting it together. The goal was to have everything really done until about, let's say, 2 months out before it went live. And at that time, ideally, it's quality assurance. So they're out there looking at their course. Even what we did is we got students who were seniors, second-year students, second semester, so they're about to graduate. We used them as our guinea pigs to see, okay, what do you think of this? Because if you get faculty in, which we did, they would give you one sort of criticism of the course, but by actually having students go in, it was a huge help in trying to get these out. They would pick up things we'd never dream of. And just like a pregnancy, the delivery there, it can be very painful at those last few moments, especially brand new course it's never flown before. But then, just like a birth, it's wonderful when it goes out and you see it and you see it's working and it's it takes that life. It's exciting. You have to try to take the magic that's in a classroom and put that same magic online. And that is not an easy thing to do. So this was our sort of 9-month process here, and it seemed to work very well for us. Let's see. Okay, the big question for us that we were trying to answer, okay, do we go with virtual or a hands-on labs as far as the students? We wanted all of our science courses to be able to transfer, and we were just looking when we were starting out, these were the ones that were needed for nursing, which was Anatomy and Physiology 1, Anatomy and Physiology 2, Microbiology, and if they hadn't had biology or chemistry in high school, a baby bio course and an introductory chemistry course. So we ended up putting those all online. So the question was, we asked out there, okay, well, what do we do? Do we go with a virtual? Because they had some pretty good virtual ones out there, especially for A&P. Or do we go with the hands-on? Well, when we asked around at the other nursing schools and all the rest, the answer came back. They really wanted a hands-on laboratory, not a virtual laboratory. If we had a virtual laboratory, they probably wouldn't accept it and transfer. So I think that's still pretty much true today, at least from what I've heard when you know, the feedback we get. There are advantages to virtual, but I think having the hands-on, being able to use your own microscope there and have that sort of, you know, dissecting the fetal pig, the cat, what have you, I think that's what most schools are looking for. And our science department was, our faculty were very adamant about it. Here's one. It's called VH Dissector Pro, and it was based on the National Library of Medicine's Visual Human Project. And it was developed largely out in the University of Colorado. This was one gentleman who had not done well in life, and he was being executed. And at, you know, reflecting back on his life, he decided, okay, I want to try to do something good for, you know, I kind of messed up my life. I want to do something good for humanity. So what he did is he donated his body to science, knowing that it was going to be used to teach students all over anatomy and physiology. And this is very popular in medical school, having this VH Dissector Pro, because you can section off the parts of the human being and then rotate it. I mean, it's phenomenal what it does. And we have it in our laboratories. We bought it for our face-to-face laboratories. But because of a number of considerations, the faculty decided against going in this direction. And although this is an aid to what we have now in our hands-on laboratories, face-to-face laboratories rather, it's strictly, you know, an additional tool that we use. Okay, so looking at other virtual labs, this is one that's put out by McGraw-Hill, and it's used by the American Public University System. It's called the Glencoe Virtual Biology Laboratories, and it's one that is totally virtual. You either get a CD that comes out, and you run your, you know, they really try to simulate everything, your microscopes, that sort of thing, and they make it, they do make it a very interesting lab. I'll show you one here. This happens to be, you're looking at various cell types here. These are in various stages of development, and you're looking at them for, you know, the number of dividing cells here. And they have you do a little experiment where you calculate exactly what's going on, how many are dividing over a period of time. And you actually can put the little slide right under your microscope and look at it there, and it's all virtual. And the big advantage of this is in the military, where people who are in harm's way, let's say they're out and they're in Afghanistan or they're in Iraq, this may have an advantage there, because dragging a microscope along may not, well, dragging a laptop along in the back of a Humvee is difficult. At Ocean County College, it's amazing. We have a number of students who are in the military and many who are deployed. And so far, the ones who are deployed had no trouble with the the actual hands-on laboratory instead of the virtual labs. But this is another option that was out there that we were looking at. I wonder, well, if I could just, we'll take a break for a moment, but could I see a raise of hands on how many of you out there actually teach science online? If you could raise your hands. Okay, so far it looks like we've got about 15 out of 60. If you could, can you type in for me just what courses, science courses you do teach online? If you can just type that into the area there, the chat area. Okay, AMP, microbiology, a lot of the same ones we're teaching here. So yeah, that's good. And now I just, how many of you use a virtual lab? If you could raise your hands, I just would like to see, of those, how many use a virtual? Okay, it's looking about, it says nine of you use a virtual lab. Now, how many of you use a hands-on laboratory for the online? Raise your hands. Looks like about 10 of you use the hands-on. So it's split out there as to what you're actually using there. As I say, I went out and actually visited LabPaq to see their laboratories out there that they were producing, and especially the AMP lab. It went back and forth on whether we were going to go with the fetal pig or the cat, and they decided that they indeed were going to use the cat. Okay. Now, the decision to go in and use the LabPaqs for us, what I loved right away was the rigor of the experiments. They actually had the lab manual there that was filled with step-by-step what you needed to do for the lab experiments, and it was very complete, and I was really surprised how well thought out it was. As I say, I'm a microbiologist, and when I saw the microbiology, I was like, wow, this is fantastic. This is pretty much exactly what I would do if I was teaching it face-to-face in a laboratory. They grow the organisms up, they identify them, you look at them under the microscope, you do some biochemistry with it, and they do a Kirby-Bauer result at the end. I was really thrilled when I saw this. The safety of it, the whole thing, there's a huge focus on safety. As far as microbiology goes, they're using all biosafety level 1 organisms. You can almost eat the things. The one advantage is, I don't know if you've seen in your laboratories, you actually see in the face-to-face, you'll have lab partners. And sometimes if you take a look around, you'll see one student looking in the microscope and 3 other students kind of looking over their shoulder or whatever they're doing. The nice thing about having them do it themselves at home is they have to do it themselves. There's the microscope and there they are, and they have to learn how to use one. And I teach biology right now face-to-face and online. And the face-to-face, I really focus on getting their students so that they know how to focus those microscopes in. And it's amazing how you can see the students kind of sneaking away from it because they don't get it. So this is a big advantage of, it's sink or swim on this. However, what I found is using a virtual lab partner, that has that has really worked well. That virtual lab partner isn't sharing a LabPaq with someone necessarily. They might be 1,000 miles away, but what they do, they call each other up on the phone, they work things out together, and that sort of collaboration, cooperation really, really works. They're easy to use. The students actually think they're fun and use them. I know with the ones I have for my little crew, Glenn, who is now, he's adopted, he's my 12-year-old. And I've been using it for his science projects he has. It's pretty easy. It has a content list that it comes with, detailed instructions. You got laboratory report templates. And the lab manual is included in the cost of it, so you don't have to have them go out and buy another $100 book. So it really did work out for us. We really like them, and the students like them. They are fun. They have to put a lot of work into it, though. I mean, it's not something. In fact, right now, my micro students are now submitting their lab reports, and they're like, "Oh, this takes a lot longer than one day." Yeah, you've got to grow those little organisms up, and it takes a while. So the course of the lab is over several days. This is the fetal pig here that they're using, and as I say, the A&P faculty, they really, all of them together, they decided that they wanted to go ahead and have this hands-on dissection involved. And our Marcia Bradley, she made a little slideshow up. It actually shows her washing they use a cat, and how to wash your cat off and all the rest, preparing it. And what the students do is we encourage them to buy one of those little refrigerators they use in a dormitory. They're about $60, and keep things in there so you don't put your cat in your refrigerator at home. That's my wife would flip out at that one. So let's see. Okay, we put it online there, and we didn't expect the response we got. A&P was the first one we put up of the biology, the introductory bio course went up at the same time. Both were huge hits, and all the information they needed to register. We had flyers made up also, so we scoured the campus with it, but we couldn't believe what an absolute huge hit it was, having the A&P out there. And we put it right on the internet. They would click on it, and this way they knew how much it was going to cost them, what was all involved. So there was, and also put the syllabus up. So this way they knew exactly what was involved. So there was no surprises when that came. And now microbiology came later. Microbiology, I was the one who put microbiology up. And this one, they didn't have a book I really liked. Nobody had an e-pack that I was really thrilled with. So I started it from scratch. And it took me about a year to really do it right. I put the syllabus, so it was online here. And the thing is, it's usually, for us, this is a third semester course in nursing. They need it as a co-requisite. Well, this summer, this was so popular, we closed 7 sections of microbiology online. It's amazing how popular this thing is nationally. So I was thrilled about that, and it's exciting. Half of our students are actually from out of state, and it's the internet that gets them there. So if you want to grow the business in your college with your online courses, you need to have a good website out there. And ours, we need a little bit more attention to it because we've got some broken links and all the rest. But actually, if you Google on microbiology online course, we're the first hit nationally there after the advertisements. No advertisements here. It's just there it is, microbiology online at Ocean County College. And we've maintained that position for the past 2 years, and that's a tremendous hit in helping to grow the business, and that's money outside of Ocean County that's coming in and helping to balance the books for us. What I'll do is, and I'll try doing this, let me go to the top. We'll take a little bit of a break for some questions. And I'm going to turn my microphone off and listen. And Susan, if you can help me with this, I haven't done this before, so we'll see how this goes. But you can text them in if you like, or we'll try the microphone. Okay, I'm going to turn mine off for a minute.
If people can just raise their hands if they want to use their mic, please do so, and we'll call on you in order. Otherwise, feel free to use the chat area. Jim, we do have some questions about the cost of the lab materials in the chat area, if you want to address that maybe while some others are typing, I see. I'm hoping you're not having microphone problems but are just taking a sip of water. Jim?
I'm sorry, I forgot to turn my microphone on. If you can raise your hands in this, I'm just going to ask a quick question. How many create their own online science courses using, doing it from scratch and not using an e-Pak? Could you raise your hands? Okay, about 12 of you do, and now you can put your hands down there, and I want to know, okay, how many of you use an e-Pak for your online courses, or have used the majority of it as an e-Pak? Okay, about four of you use the e-Pak. Okay, I didn't see any questions come up, so I'm going to continue. Okay, this is just some shots from the e-Pak that's used for A&P, and this was from McGraw-Hill. And it's absolutely wonderful what they can do when they put all their resources behind an e-Pak. It's just wonderful what they can do. And in this case, it was perfect because they worked with Ocean County College to do this, to put it together. So this was the best of all worlds for us. And it's just amazing that what they can put into it, the animations and all the rest. It would be very tough to do that by yourself, although we try. And I'll tell you, even though my microbiology course, I would put that up against some of the best e-Paks out there because I really took a lot of time to build that interactivity into it. So, but anyhow, that worked with us for Anatomy and Physiology 1 and 2. There is an additional expense, though, for the usually an e-Pak. The students can pay an extra $40, $50 to get that e-Pak. What I did is, I told you I love Dreamweaver, but I found SoftChalk and I found out how easy this thing is to use. And you create these interactive web pages. And here you engage your students. You have pop-up text, annotations, self-assessment quizzes, interactive learning games. Let me tell you, that generation absolutely loves games. Crossword puzzles, that sort of thing. And also, it is so easy to integrate the internet. You can bring videos in quite easily. I highly recommend it, and I think you can teach someone the basics of it in 2 hours, and they're up and flying. So, yeah, I'd be a good sales rep for SoftChalk. And the other thing we do, this is Maria Tambora's chemistry course. Now, what she did is she shot all the pictures herself, and many of our instructors did this. What I found, if you have, a picture is worth 1,000 words, if you can put like pictures and text together, you hit both sides of the brain there. And I think it makes the course very interesting to go through. So as they're reading, oh, there's a picture illustrating it, or an animation, and it works very well. And then what I do is I'll go along with this, and then at the end of, let's say, the end of that section, I'll have a little quiz to make sure they know what they're doing there. Here's one I have for, the history of microbiology there, and some of the famous ones: Selman Waksman, Louis Pasteur, Van Leeuwenhoek, Ignaz Semmelweis. So they have to kind of take these and do a drag and drop, and if they get it right, like this one, coined the term of antibiotic, they drag it up and they see Selman Waksman there, and it comes in, you'll get a nice little ping if it's they get it right, and if it isn't, it gets one of those and students love this. And I figure when I'm coming down the page, I'm saying, well, what did I want the student to know from this section? And then I pop some kind of a little animation in there, or like this, it's a little quiz, a drop, drag and drop, and they absolutely love it. The other thing, this is my microbiology course here, and it is so easy. Now here I stole this video from McGraw-Hill and popped it right in, and it's so easy to integrate using SoftChalk. And I'm sure there's other ways of doing the same thing out there, but this really, really worked for me, and I can't say enough good about it. And the importance of your weekly discussions. What I made sure, well, and it's fun with microbiology, you can go and get the absolute latest, what is going on out there in microbiology. Last winter, everybody thought H1N1, so we had a good run with that one. There was a norovirus outbreak on a cruise ship. There was a huge mumps outbreak in New York and New Jersey, so we had that. And of course we had the public health considerations from the Haiti earthquake. But this really engages the student in the here and now and what's going on in microbiology today. And it's exciting because they read about it in the paper, and here it is right in the course. There's one site I love use. It's ProMed Mail. And what it is, it's an epidemiological site, and any outbreak going on in the entire world, you'll read about it there by the person who actually, the epidemiologist who worked it up. They'll post it, and you'll read about it in the New York Times the next day. So it's neat. The students find out about this, so it's a way they can really go on and stay right on top of the latest happening in microbiology. So I would say in all areas, whether it be chemistry, biology, A&P, this is an area, a very exciting area, and I make this worth a whole 20% of their grade. And it's highly interactive, and I really stay with it. The other thing that I've learned to do, and this I got for Christmas, this was great. This is a little flip camera here on the left, and my daughter Ashley, she's 10 years old, and it is so easy to use. You just basically flip it. There's a little thing that attaches right to your computer. You push this button here, and you just before you do that, you say, "Okay, Dad, 3, 2, 1," and then push the button. You got the video, and as soon as you're done, you push the button again. Boom! It's right there. Hook it up right to your computer. It goes right up to the internet, to YouTube, and so even it is a talking head. Here I am at the Jersey Shore. This is during February. And I'm able to give a little bit of an introduction. So by peppering your course with a talking head that, right on YouTube, it's a huge hit. The students love it. And a lot of the students are doing this now. They're doing this with their lab report, and they're sending it back in. So it's amazing what they're doing out here.
Hey, Jim,
here's the kit from Lab.
Jim, real quick.
Yes.
Sorry, there are a couple of people interested in that the epidemiological site you mentioned. Is that on the list that you sent us, or could you mention it?
No, I didn't. But let me do it slowly. It's ProMed Mail. Google on ProMed Mail, and you're going to love it because it's all over the world, and you can follow any. What's nice, you can follow the epidemic as it's progressing. They'll have like 25 parts, and you can go right back to #1 where the epidemic started, and it's there'll be weekly update, monthly updates, and a year later an update. It's a great one to use if you're teaching microbiology, biology, introduction to public health, something like that. It's a great site. Okay, this is the Microbiology Kit here, and you have to purchase the microscope separately. As far as costs of these things go, the basic microscope, I think, now I'm be off by a few bucks. The microscope itself goes for about 110 bucks. In microbiology, you need to get the oil immersion lens in order to, it's a 100x lens, so this way you can see the bacteria. You want to be able to get down so you have the resolution there, so you definitely need oil immersion to do that. That's 51. Okay, somebody's got their hand raised here. I'll hop off and let you talk. Hold on.
For these kits, do you buy them and then rent them out to the students, or do the students buy them individually?
The student buys them, and they can, if they're on, what we do at our school, if they're on financial aid, they actually get purchased through the bookstore. But if they're not, they purchase them directly from LabPaq, and they're drop shipped the next day, and the kit shows up. I would say, just rule of thumb, the basic kit itself for, and it depends what it is, it goes for around 200 bucks, maybe up to 300 bucks if it's, you know, has a lot with it. The microscope on top of it, like for microbiology, you're really talking $450 to get absolutely everything. That's your lab manual and everything else. So it's a bit of a it's a bit of a cost. But when you think, I know here in New Jersey, if I don't have to drive down to Ocean County College 3 days a week, that's that quickly evaporates. It's a wash. So that's here. You've got all the media you need for microbiology. It's quite a neat little kit. And here's the oil immersion lens here for the microscope. This is made in China, and they actually did a real good job with the optics on this thing. If you're teaching biology, you don't need the oil immersion lens, so 110 bucks gets you a nice microscope, and you can give it to your kids afterwards. I see someone else has raised their hand. I'm going to hop off just for a minute and let you talk.
I think, Jim, that was Ron's hand that was up from before, but we do have a question from Mike as to whether the cost includes a textbook as well.
It includes the book for the textbook for the laboratory. It's a lab manual that comes with it, so you don't have to buy another textbook. So that's about $100 savings right there. Micro is one of the more expensive ones to do. There's you know, less expensive LabPaqs out there, but micro, you really want to be able to see those organisms. So that's, you know, you have to get that extra lens. But considering, I'd say it's a bargain compared to what it would be going back and forth. Now, what I do is I make them, I make them take pictures of what they're doing. This way I know they're doing it. And it's not just, you know, somebody, you know how students will be. You know, if you let them, they'll try to cheat on you. And by taking pictures and submitting the pictures, I can also tell them, you know, hey, it's not what you think. And now this is a little heating pad incubator that a student put together here. They have to maintain it at body temperature, 98.6 or 37 degrees centigrade. And they're pretty cool with the way they've done this. The other thing we do is I allow them to work with lab partners. Now here's within our lab, our regular face-to-face lab, we want that collaborative learning going on, but even what we do is we set them up so we say, hey, get yourself a virtual lab partner, and it's a huge help, especially they're, you know, deer in the headlights when they first start. And it's a huge help getting, you know, that kind of support from the other students. Anybody else? Question? Okay, here's an example
here.
Just
1 second, Jim. I think Ron had a question, but we couldn't hear it, so let's give him the microphone again.
Will do.
Yeah, Jim, a couple of things. So you're talking, this is quite expensive. So could I ask you, did you and your colleagues ever consider renting these kits out? Because I'm in that process right now through LabPaq. LabPaq is just, as far as I'm concerned, a little bit too expensive. Now, you have a different science area than I have. So I just want to know, did you consider it, and what were the discussions like, and what were the considerations?
Okay, on that, some things that have been done to economize, and it depends on who the professor is. Some professors do not allow students to share LabPaqs, but if they live down the street from each other, I don't find a problem with that, where they can go and work together on the experiment, and it is very professor specific. Most professors at Ocean County College do not encourage that. They want the students doing it themselves. However, I'm not with the same school of thought. We actually have a what's called the From community. It's in Lakewood, New Jersey. It's an Orthodox Jewish community. They're the observant community, and they have very strict rules on you know, having a high-speed internet access in the house and all the rest. Well, the community has organized, and they've done a wonderful job. And what they've done is they've actually rented out part of a building. This is for our nursing program, essentially. But all the prerequisite courses, they are taking them online. And they have this place in the building where they go there, they have computers set up for them, but they've also purchased a number of microscopes. And as the students move on, they kind of donate their microscopes to the cause, and they keep them in good shape for other students to use them. So that's the ideas on economizing. Okay, getting back here, this is an example of Staphylococcus epidermidis, grows on your skin, and the students actually isolate this themselves in the back of their knee, a nice sweaty area. This guy loves salt. But they take a picture, and then I'm able to come back and say, no, that doesn't look like the organism it should be. And that's a huge help in, you know, helping the students through it. I also ask them to draw, you know, if they can't do anything with photography, to draw pictures of what they're seeing under the microscope. And I have them do colored pencils and then scan it in. And you know, I've got these budding artists there, and it works, because this way I get an idea that they're on the right track and they're actually doing it. Here's a cool thing that came out, I think it was last year, it might be the year before. This is an iPhone here he's holding in his hand. And there's a, it's called iMicroscope. It's an application, I think it goes for like $2, $3, something like that. And you can actually take your iPhone, and with some adjustments, you can take the picture right through your microscope and email it right on out. It's terrific. So a lot of the students who have the iPhones are doing that, and some actually are doing it with other you know, phones or digital cameras. I'm not sure how they all do it, but it's amazing how resilient they are. I did at the end, you'll see I have for this application where to get it, but it's really cool. You can actually zero this in on your microscope. You have to put down some details, and then it's pretty sharp. Here's some of the photos they're sending back, taken through the microscope like that. So it really works. This one, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that's something you'll find in your wine or beer. And here's squamous epithelial cells from your mouth here. So it does a pretty respectable job. Just checking on the time here. We're doing okay. What I've just done is my dean said, Jim, you need to consider getting a little more cooperative learning going on in your course. So what I'm doing here in biology, I've asked students to do a local capstone field report. No matter where they are, go out there to a park and all the rest, and have another student as a peer coach in writing their first draft. What happens here, they'll write up, they have to do, I think, 4 or 5 plants, and there's a rubric they have for exactly how to write it. And then the other student, the peer coach, when they get the first draft done, they don't send it to me. They send it to that student, the peer coach. They go over it, and it's not just, "Hi, Sally, you did a great job." They have a rubric they need to go through, suggesting changes, and send it back to the student. And that's the first time through the washing machine. Then that student will send me their critique, and the student, again, I haven't seen their first draft. They create a second draft based on the recommendations of that peer coach. And they send me the second draft, and I look it over, and then I will send my suggestions back to them. And so they go back, and again, they go through it and make the modifications now based on what I said and my suggestions. And then they finally submit it to me for evaluation. So it has gone through the washing machine twice with the peer coaching before they actually submit it with me for their grade. When you normally ask them to do a term paper, they usually wait till the night before. You'll read it, you score it up with all the red marks, hand it back to them. They just look at the red grade at the top, whether they got an A, a B, or an F, and there was no learning in it. This way, it forces them with writing, you want to be able to do it over and over again to perfect it. And this is something online lends itself well to. So I'll let you know how I'm doing with this. This is the first time I've done it with a science course. But we have had great success with it in other online courses. Now, at the very end, what we do is we have course level assessment. We take the face-to-face students, and at the very end, they do this assessment. And the online students get the exact same assessment. This is General Biology 1. And what we have found, and this is true with the one-day-a-week nursing programs, the ones who are online do better. And it probably, in nursing, what happened, we actually did match pair analysis, getting them into the nursing program. They had the exact same GPA, but they did better when it came to the ATI testing they did, and ultimately passing the NCLEX. But we're seeing the same thing here. So face-to-face students on this, their average score was 78.8. Online, it was 89.8 on this assessment. And we have found this all along, and this has been reported in the literature. What it is the students who take online courses tend to be self-starters. In the East here, we'll say they have the moxie, and they've done very, very well. So here's evidence that we're actually, it's doing better in the face-to-face. Just a quick mention on chemistry. Maria Tambora teaches chemistry. What they do here is put everything in micro scale, so they don't need to worry about hazardous materials. Here's this is a voltmeter she has the students doing their lab with. Same thing she does. She takes and makes the students send pictures in of what they're doing. And here she is. We spoke together at the Regional EDUCAUSE conference in Baltimore, and here she's on YouTube. You can actually go out to YouTube and see her doing this. She's demonstrating the LabPaq and showing the voltmeter we use in class, face-to-face, versus the voltmeter you get in the little LabPaq. They really have some, have really found inexpensive equipment that works well. Another thing, and I'm just getting into this now, but here's Maria Tambora going over her homework assignment using WIMBA. And WIMBA is, also that lecture capture, and here going live with the students, going over their homework assignments. It's a really great tool. Her results with chemistry mimic that of biology. Our face-to-face students on the course level assessment, 75.5% versus 84.1%. So the results are coming in and they're looking good. But remember, the week of heart usually doesn't take an online course. There is that at Ocean County College, we had 13 online science courses in 2 years. Actually, I don't see the introduction to physics there, so I think we actually have 14. But this grew rapidly. And I just, it's amazing how many students, and even the ones locally at Ocean County College, what they do is they want a little bit better schedule. So what they do is their schedule, they decide, well, if I take this microbiology course online, I can free up my Friday and my Mondays. So, so they'll do that. So they'll do it just to make a better schedule for themselves. The other thing this has allowed us to do, it's allowed us to put an Associate of Science in General Studies, an AS in General Studies, with a concentration in science, totally online. So this way, especially, let's say somebody like the military, this is something that's nice. They can totally get everything they need online, a full AS in Associate of Science with a concentration in science. As they get out of the military, they can get all the courses and then go on and transfer to a 4-year school and have those classes transfer, because they really do. That's the big advantage with using the hands-on labs as opposed to virtual. We've had good success with that. Let's see how we're doing the time-wise. Okay, good. Another matter, I know this slide didn't quite turn out right here when we have it here. This is called Quality Matters, and the University of Maryland started this with a FIPSI grant. And what it is, it's sort of peer review from other professors in other colleges nationwide. And a lot of professors, I found egos was a huge thing, as far as they put up an online course and they think it's wonderful. And you look at it and say, oh boy, there's a number of things here that are not wonderful. And when I was the dean, it's like, well, excuse me, what would you know about this, that sort of thing. One advantage I had being dean is I had done it myself. I could say, well, here's what I've done with my online course, and that helped. But a lot of times, suggestions, they wouldn't take them. And now I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this too. And by having them go for Quality Matters review, it's not the administration telling them or another professor locally telling them that maybe you could do a little bit better here. They go out, they get Quality Matters review, and the first time through, most professors don't make it. They have that list of things they need to put in their course. They'll have the review, and then they'll give them a list of, okay, here's what you need to change to get your course up to Quality Matters standards. And so the nice thing is it's other professors from other schools, and it takes the ego out of it. So this really helped big time with some professors who had a little ego problem there. But also it's like you're homegrown inside. You only learn what you can learn from your other professors around you. And what's neat, this is nationwide. Other professors telling you, giving you ideas of how to make your course better. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Is if you can get, I'm not sure how expensive this is. I think it was a few $100s to get it, but I think it's money well worth spent because it takes you that next level. When you get the course out of the box, there's a lot that needs to be changed. They will not look at your course unless it's like you've taught it a few semesters. So it's a good way to go to get that. It's kind of a good housekeeping seal of approval. Okay, advantages of using the LabPaqs. The savings is about $50 to $100 by not having the lab manuals. You have the expense of traveling, and in New Jersey, that's a big problem. We're very tight as far as not a very big state, but let me tell you, moving from point A to point B can take you a long time. So saving the time commuting, that's a huge advantage. Child care is another one. I'll get online and I'll say, hey, what are you doing online at 2 o'clock on a Saturday morning? They'll say, oh, the baby just went to sleep. It's nice and quiet in the house. You have the convenience of being able to do science almost anywhere and any time. Now, what was really cool, my first time out with this in microbiology, it was during the winter. So I had one student who lived down by the Florida Keys. So she sent a picture out to everyone, showing her in her laboratory with 2 palm trees in the back. And there's her, it was out on a picnic bench and all the rest, and so this started a little, competition amongst the troops there. So what they did is they went back, and there was someone in Vermont had theirs set up before a crackling fireplace and it looked like a log cabin, and it went back and forth, and it was really cool the way the students got into that and a way of showing, what they were doing, what their houses looked like, and all the rest of that. It was cool. It really helped build community. So this allows students, let's say if they're working full-time, it's a way of working around it. I'm surprised how many students this summer took the microbiology and they had jobs down at the Jersey Shore and were able to fit it all in. The big selling point, though, I'd have to say, is transferability. That has really helped. What I do is I have that whole lab manual, so it's a big giant PDF file. So if somebody calls up and they said, well, what's all involved with the lab and all the rest? I'll send it right to that other school and say, well, here it is. And when they look at it, they realize it is not Mickey Mouse. I don't want to put down Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse does nice things, but it is substantial. Here's some of the comments here from the students. It says, I couldn't be happier that I switched to the online section of the course. The online labs actually work. I learned so much more than I would have in a face-to-face laboratory. They were fun and you enjoy learning. This other student says, it allows me to be a full-time mom, knock off my nursing prerequisites at the same time. And this other one, it says, my nursing school in Alaska told me that I couldn't take A&P until September, so I decided to take it now in New Jersey. I mean, it's a whole new world out there, so it's kind of neat. Now, just want to give you a little personal on Jim Brown. So I was dean. I was an assistant dean at New Jersey City University. I was dean at Ocean County College, Science, Engineering, Health Science, and Human Performance. And then we decided, we were going to, I had 3 biological children, and we decided to adopt 3. We had, over on the right-hand side here in the red, is Abby. She's from Guatemala, and we got her, she just turned 7. So we got her when she was a year old from Guatemala. But in the center here with my wife's arms around them is Ashley and Glenn. And we got them from DIFAS. It's the Division of Youth and Family Services in New Jersey. And they were in the system for the best part of their lives. And if, with an adopted child in this, if you're not a baby, nobody adopts you. So we adopted Ashley and Glenn when they were 8 and 10, and now they're 10 and 12. So I stepped down as dean and started teaching full-time. As a professor. I teach online as well during the year, but in the summer it's totally online and that's it. So here's a picture of me on my back deck. This was shot just a few days ago. I had Glenn shoot this for me. But I have my little tree house here, and it is cool. I just absolutely love teaching online. That summer we went to the island of Calabria, right off of Puerto Rico. I'm sitting under a palm tree with my laptop computer, my wife next to me reading a book, and the kids right down on the beach swimming in the surf. And I was saying, boy, life does not get better than this. So anyhow, I'll take some questions. I will hop off the mic here, and then if you want, ask the questions. Thank you.
I'd like to have more information, not just from you, but that some other people seem to say that they used soft chalk. Is soft chalk something you develop and then you have to put it on your own web pages for the server, or do they provide a service for you? Is it similar to eCollege, WebCT? I'd like to know a little bit more about it. I got it online when you were talking, but I didn't have enough time to actually look into it. And I'd like to have somebody have some comments about it, about how easy it's used, and what can it do that other packages can't.
What I did with mine is we put it right on I put it right on my own computer. I save it there, and then it's very transferable to any system you want. It'll go into all of them: Angel, WebCT, Blackboard. What's nice, it's very, very portable. So you can send that. It's packaged, and then you unpackage it in whatever course it is, and it seems to work for all of them. I'll hop off and let other people comment.
So, I mean, what's so different than WebCT? I mean, WebCT or Moodle or eCollege, you basically can develop your own stuff. So, why is it more effective?
They have all these little tools you can use that are so easy to put right in that now I've been using what do you call it, Dreamweaver for a long time, and I just haven't been able to do something really cool like that. This makes it so easy. You can put all of these, little games and that sort of thing, embed them right in, and it just makes it very easy to put in all of those little toys that the kids love the students love for online courses. Any other questions?
Jim, there are a few that people asked in the chat area. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to find them all because they came rolling in at one point, but maybe we can scroll up and see if we can find a few in there.
Would you be able to read them to me, and I'll field them?
Yeah, I'm looking. One there's that I can answer. Cindy's asking if there'll be a playback link available for the session. Yes, there will be, Cindy. We are recording this, and we will make it available to you all. Let me keep looking here. I'm going to turn off my microphone while I look.
I see there's a raised hand, so if you have the comment, I'll turn it off and go onto your mic.
Yes, this is Deborah Janesko. I typed a question in earlier. I personally have been to the LabPaq website. I'm putting together a program that's totally online that includes concepts such as phlebotomy and injections. I didn't see on their website that they offer those in a lab at any type of like kit or anything that you could teach that through. Do you know if they're heading that way or if it's available, it's just not listed on their website?
I'm not aware of any, but I wasn't looking for any. At the time I switched from nursing over to science as far as my focus goes, so I'm not sure if they have anything available on that. I don't know it that well. I know the mainline science courses, but I don't remember seeing something like that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll turn off my mic. Just jump right in.
Michelle, we can't hear you.